big drama in Abuja court. Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of indigenous people of Biafra, just appeared in court asking for two things: his immediate release or a transfer to the National Hospital for medical care. But guess what? The court has denied his request and things just got even more serious. The Federal High Court in Abuja, led by Justice James Omotosho, ruled that Kanu will not be moved to the National Hospital. Instead, the judge ordered the Nigerian Medical Association to set up a special committee to check and report on Nnamdi Kanu's health condition. But that's not all. His no-case submission was also thrown out. The judge said the prosecution has already established a strong case against him, meaning Nnamdi Kanu must now enter his defense. This ruling has sparked fresh debates across Nigeria. Is this justice served, or is it an unfair move against Nnamdi Kanu? Watch this video to the end. I will be right back to say something.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, sure.
I just want sorry. It's not a photo shoot now.
I'm not sure.
People, we just need a clarification on the ruling on the NMA. What exactly was the position of the court on that for the benefit of that? Was it dismissed? Was it rejected? Or what are we supposed to take out of it?
Well, the ruling is simply requires Nnamdi Kanu, the defendant, to enter his defense. It's not a pronunciation of guilt or not guilty. So that is why it's called a no-case submission. So the judge made a ruling that there's a prima facie evidence that needs to be explained. So in common parlance, it calls on him to come and mount his own defense. But there is the other aspect of the ruling that concerned extraordinary rendition. That very one is one that compounded us, because the extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu is so open and notorious. Two international institutions or two separate panels of the United Nations have made pronouncements regarding his extraordinary rendition and called for his unconditional release. Nigeria is a member of the United Nations and therefore bound to consider that and implement that decision. And in Nigeria here, 3 courts have made similar pronouncements. First was by the Federal High Court of Omaha, which awarded him 500 million naira. And the Court of Appeal also pronounced that he was a victim of extraordinary rendition. And in the Supreme Court, the same Supreme Court that sent this case back to trial, reached the same conclusion, that he was a victim of extraordinary rendition. And all these things are of the record. They are all in the file. And we remember, when this trial was being conducted, these very documents were tendered in evidence. So it compounded us, it confused us, that the court now made a pronouncement that the extraordinary rendition had no evidence before the court, that no evidence of it was submitted before the court. And you remember, least but not the last, recently a Kenyan High Court made the same pronouncement. But well, if the court was misled by believing by mistake that these things were not in the evidence, it also said and left the door open that such evidence be submitted. So we are coming back with that evidence, and it's going to be quantum and legion.
So what about the first application on the enemy?
Well, that one too, it wasn't in evidence that the Nigerian Medical Association has intervened. So it came as a surprise. Well, there's a short date given of 8 days for the NMA to submit its report. So somebody is ill, somebody is ill. You know, I don't think NMA is going to change much of that. But I think the judge wanted to leave the record open to admit every possible evidence regarding this matter. But meantime, we are disappointed. Our client remains ill and remains detained, and we're not happy about that. His situation requires urgent and emergent care. So whatever the court says today does not mean that the government shall withdraw back. Just 2 days ago, I wrote a letter. A private hospital has also expressed readiness to admit him here in Abuja. For security reasons, I won't mention the name of the private hospital. But the government, if the government appears to have issues with taking him to the national hospital, we have given them an option of a private hospital also here in Abuja.
So it's safe to say that the application to be transferred to the national hospital was rejected?
Rejected? No, it's pending. Yes.
One other information.
It hasn't been rejected. It's pending. It's pending the admission of this report from the Nigerian Medical Association and the opinion of Nigerian Medical Association. And you know, if you were in court, the judge had ordered that the committee or panel to be considered by the Nigerian Medical Association shall have a member from the National Hospital. So National Hospital is still in play.
Thank you very much.
One other information, please. One other information. We are saying that the judge has no jurisdiction whatsoever to try Nnamdi Kanu. because that particular issue of being a victim of extraordinary rendition must be determined, because and that one will be whether they will be the one that will confer jurisdiction on the court. And the court said there is no evidence before him. No, we are going to supply evidence before him that Nnamdi Kanu was extraordinary rendition. Then, having done that, there is nothing, no case to answer. So that you should go home with that. And if they fail to do otherwise, we will not see it as a war against the Igbos.
And just like he said, two sets of rules. One rule for the Igbos and one rule for every other Nigerian. This is a unique opportunity for Nigeria to be circumspect and look towards a political solution to this matter, and for especially as it concerns high crime and criminality in the Southeast. So we are all disappointed, but God has not spoken yet. We will come back and show that the extraordinary rendition was indeed included in the submissions made to the court, and then the judge, like the barrister said, we will know whether he has jurisdiction or not. But for the Igbo people, this is your time to rise up and to speak up and to say enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
All right. Take care, man.
All right, have a good weekend. So that's correct. So the court will not defend that.
Ella. Who is speaking? Who is speaking?
The bandits with their hands. And you are dragging an innocent man who did nothing.
And you think that
no, this is wrong. Very wrong. Very wrong.
Injustice is very clear here. Injustice is
Get out. Big man is with you.
So when you come down, come down. What are we going to talk about? Let's talk about what we want to talk about.
Tabasi.
You can have an interview with us, please.
Yes, sir.
I know.
And today's not an exception.
All right, sir.
You had the ruling.
Yes, sir.
Don't worry.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you, my babe.
All right.
This is your question, sir. I get to make sure.
I wonder.
Yeah,
What do you think about this court decision? Should Nnamdi Kanu have been allowed medical transfer, or is the court's right to insist he faces trial first?
Sir, I really want to appreciate you for what you are doing in Enugu State. Unlike the disaster we are seeing in Enugu State, you are doing very, very well. Coming to Enugu State, we don't need this state for us to see what we are doing. In terms of infrastructural development, I see in Enugu State, I know how Enugu State used to be. We are doing very, very well. And sir, yesterday, you told us here during the opening section that the judiciary are receiving their money as at Wednesday. I personally carried out investigation, and one of the judicial officers told me that they are not receiving their money as you claim. And I noticed it that one of the magistrates, who happens to be my friend, used a to court. They said that they don't have a car. And I was asking, how do they have their money and they don't even have a car? Secondly, sir, they are missing at the Enugu State. And from over now, nobody is there. And the essence of that is injustice being suffered by the people of Southeast. So you are doing well. You are doing well. I can give it to you. Please, I want you to intensify effort. Let them come in the list so that you have peace. Thank you and God bless you.
My name is Leighton Izede from the Port Harcourt Bar. You have taken time here on your list now. You have taken time to heal out to what you're doing in several sectors. Or as a friend, charity begins at home. I'm a leader on standalone issue. I want to know, there are some governments that build houses for judges, buy cars for judges. Out of they take a picture of what belongs to them and do all of these things for them. So I want you to tell your colleagues what's the extent of financial autonomy of the Enugu State judiciary. Thank you.
I'm a senior advocate of Nigeria. Just one little question. The governor. I come to Enugu very often, so I'm not a stranger at all to Enugu. But it will be difficult for me to deny that I have not seen some ground-breaking changes. To do that will even be sinful. I don't want to be a sinner. Now, the question I want to ask is on this theme of transformational leadership, a theme I have written extensively on. How are you able, or have you been able, in a highly politicized environment, an environment that is shark infested by political buccaneers, in an environment where there is more politicking than governance? How have you been able to navigate through that Momopa, whom we are told discovered the river Niger at Kainji, even though he let the people there drinking the water? How have you been able to?
Start with the first speaker. The first is on the issue of sit at home. When we came into government from this 2 years ago, the situation we met on ground was one where everybody, whether you wanted or not, we were compelled to sit at home. And if you did not, it means that you're going to have a violent attack either on your property or on yourself. So that was the situation with Nnamdi. But I can tell you today, even in the Ogbete, you just made reference to, those who want to come to work, who want to trade on Monday, trade there in peace and in safety. And of course, you're a lawyer. You're not going to compel somebody who, due to his own, some political undertone or his political leaning, decides to stay at home. It is not my job to compel that person to come to work. But I can assure you for free that if you do want to come to work on Sunday and operate in a safe and secure environment, you are free to do so, and it is happening everywhere in Enugu. And today is Monday. You can, we don't need to, you can just do your survey and do your assessment. That's on that. For us, with the judiciary, given our background, we take the judiciary very seriously. Okay? We respect the autonomy of the judiciary. And everything that we do with the judiciary, we go through the budgeting process. And once those items are captured in our budget, we implement them to the latter. They actually get their funds from the state consolidated revenue funds. And that's what happens here. Okay, and they determine what they have budgeted. So if indeed there is issue of vehicles, they need to, of course, by now we have started the budget review committee is already set up. And the core circulars have all gone out. So it's expected that all the various ministries, all the different arms of government will be able to bring in their budget, and it will be debated. Once those items are captured in the budget, they are then implemented from a frontline revenue position. And I think that addresses that. The next question was on so I think he talked about the judicial, so we've addressed that. Now, so I'm sure some of you followed my position about Nnamdi Kanu the day I was sworn in. I guess my first visit to the president was the discussion on Nnamdi Kanu, and I came out and granted an interview about what I had just discussed with the president. So I still believe that the right thing to do is to release Nnamdi Kanu, and hopefully that will happen soon. Then again, we do not, just as I mentioned in my opening remarks, leadership is not rocket science. First of all, it starts with imagination. And you have to talk about, once you're able to imagine, looking at the trends and looking at the pattern of growth we inherited. If that had been what guided our projections or our vision, then we wouldn't even be where we are today or even getting close. We felt that even though that model of growth may have served us to where we are today, but in order for us to build on what we have, to get to where we want to take our people, where we believe our people ought to be, we needed to think outside what we were already familiar with. So let's take the growth projection. If we look at our trend, our growth rate had been it was selected between 2 and 4% in the last 20 years. And we came in and said, we're going to grow the economy sevenfold. We're going to grow it from $4.4 billion to $30 billion. That in itself is disruptive, because we're talking about 27% compound annual growth rate. So how do you reconcile that? You could have the critics or the naysayer challenge that, but we then immediately added that we're going to deploy disruptive innovation. Disruptive in a positive sense. It means we have to interrogate the status quo. We have to basically do things differently and do a quantum leap, which is largely what we have done, because we cannot build the infrastructures we're talking about if we don't have a revenue model that supports that. So we needed to also even disrupt that model. We said we want to achieve a 0% headcount rate in our poverty index. That also meant that we are moving from 58% poverty headcount rate that we inherited to 0%. The trend did not support that. So it also means that we needed to deploy disruptive strategies, okay, to achieve that. And then we want to make Enugu State the preferred destination. Those goals are in themselves intertwined. If you want to grow your economy, you need to be able to, on your own as government, you're unable to achieve that. That means you need to attract private sector. And in order for you to bring in private sector, there are fundamentals that you must have, and which is why a lot of the projects we're executing, they are all connecting the dots towards leading us to that $30 billion economy, towards ensuring that we achieve a 0% headcount. And for us, this is just the beginning, because we're just laying the foundation. And there are still a whole lot to come, where, $30 billion economy is not a child's play, and we understand what it takes in order to achieve that. That's why we're targeting achieving a 3 million visitors in 2027, and we're not just pushing that into existence. We're also putting in place the structure to attract that number of visitors. And so we're pushing. We haven't done anything crazy in terms of the things we have accomplished. One of the things we're also very excited about is what we're doing in the education sector. I mean, you tend to see the conference center, your site where it's beautiful, it's nice. But the truth is that the real funds we're spending as a state is going to education, it's going to healthcare. 55% of our total budget is dedicated to social services. And that is where we see this poverty thing, how we can lift our people out of the poverty pit. Building 7,000 classrooms within 2 years, not just classrooms, but making sure that each classroom is equipped with modern digital facilities. So it is thinking outside the box. Thank you.
Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more political updates.